All right, today we're going to explore something really special, Shakespeare's Sonnet 29. Now, it's a timeless poem about human struggle, for sure, but we're going to look at it through the incredible spiritual lens of Paramahansa Yogananda. For those of you who follow his teachings, you know he was one of the great masters who brought Kriya Yoga to the West. And he saw something amazing in this sonnet, a perfect map of the soul's journey from the absolute depths of despair all the way to the heights of divine joy.
So you might be thinking, a poet from the 1600s and a yoga master from the 20th century, what's the connection, right? Well, that's exactly what's so fascinating here. We're diving into this intersection where worldly sorrow meets spiritual bliss. It's like Shakespeare perfectly describes the problem, that universal pain we all feel, and Yogananda comes in with the spiritual key, the actual solution to it all.
Okay, so let's jump right in. To really get this, we have to first understand the problem, the crisis at the heart of the poem. It kicks off in a really dark place, where the speaker feels like the whole world has just turned its back on him.
I mean, you can just feel the heaviness in those lines, can't you? This isn't just someone having a bad day, it's a total state of being. When he says he's in disgrace with fortune, that means he feels like luck itself has just given up on him. In men's eyes, his reputation is shot. He's an outcast, totally alone, and just weeping about his situation.
And then comes something we can all relate to, right? The poison of comparison. It just starts to creep in. He's looking around at everybody else, just eaten up with envy, wanting their skills, their opportunities, what he calls their scope. And this feeling, it's so strong, it literally sucks the joy out of everything, even the things he used to love. So this is the outcast state he's talking about. It's the core of the problem. You've got loneliness, envy, self-pity, a total feeling of worthlessness. And if you look at this from a yogic perspective, well, this is exactly what happens. This is the pain you get when you start looking for your self-worth out there, in the world, instead of from within.
So that's the problem. The big question is, how do you get out of that spiral? And that's exactly where the wisdom of Paramahansa Yogananda comes in. His answer is, well, it's a total game changer. He basically says, stop looking for happiness out there. The search has to turn inward.
You know, Yogananda taught that all the love we're chasing in success, in money, even in our relationships, it's really just a shadow of a much bigger, much more real love. He called it divine love. And what is that? It's the soul's pure, unconditional love for God, for its own source. And the beauty of this love is, it has nothing to do with what you've done or what people think of you. It's just there.
And really, this brings us to a choice that every single one of us has to make. Are we going to stay caught up in what's happening on the outside, always worried about fortune and men's eyes? Or are we going to choose to connect with what's inside? Yogananda's teaching is crystal clear on this. True, lasting happiness, it's an inside job. It only comes from that direct line to the divine.
Okay, so now we get to the big shift, the pivot point of the whole poem. Just when the speaker is at his absolute rock bottom, something amazing happens.
Haply I think on thee. That's it. Just one thought. One simple act of remembrance. And boom! In that one instant, his entire world flips. He describes it like a lark at sunrise, just shooting up into the sky, leaving all that darkness on the ground behind.
Now, looking at this through Yogananda's eyes, this is the key moment. Who is this "the" he's thinking of? Sure, it could be a person, but on that deeper spiritual level, "the" is the divine beloved. It's the soul having that aha moment, suddenly remembering who it really is, and that it's always been connected to spirit.
And this is such a perfect picture of the actual path Yogananda taught. It's not just some abstract idea, it's a process. It's something you do. You feel the pain, right? So you make a conscious choice to turn your focus inward. You choose to remember the divine. And right there, in that act of remembering, your soul consciousness, your true self, it wakes up.
So, what happens next? What's the payoff for this inner shift? What kind of wealth does this remembrance bring? Well, let me tell you, it's a kind of wealth that makes you rethink everything you thought was valuable. This is just wow. Think about it. A few lines ago, this guy was jealous of other people's opportunities. Now, he's so full of this remembered love that he says he wouldn't switch places with a king. The most powerful, wealthy person in the world has absolutely nothing to offer him anymore. That's a huge shift. And that wealth he's talking about, that's what Yogananda called divine bliss, samadhi. It's a joy that's so deep, so complete, It makes all the things we usually chase, fame, fortune, power, look like kids' toys. It's a peace that's literally beyond words. As Yogananda himself said, no human tongue can describe it.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. When we look at this whole journey from the sonnet through the eyes of a great master like Yogananda, what's the big picture?
What it shows us is a perfect map of what Yogananda called the greatest romance there is, the soul's eternal journey back to God. The sonnet lays it all out for us, that painful feeling of being lost and separated, that critical turning point of just remembering, and then finally, that incredible joy of reuniting with the beloved that was inside you all along.
And maybe the most powerful thing to take away from all this is our worst moments aren't the end of the story. The poet's shame, his jealousy, his misery, those very feelings were the exact thing that pushed him to look for something more, to look inside. And what he found was a joy he couldn't have even dreamed of. It means our own suffering can actually be the fuel that sends us searching for something deeper.
So that leaves us with a question to really think about. The poet found his freedom in just one single thought. So for you, for me, for all of us, in those moments when we feel lost or unhappy with our lives, where is our divine turning point? How can we be the one to turn our thoughts inward and find that one memory, that one connection that changes absolutely everything? Thanks for exploring this with me today.